Hey everyone, Mr. Harvey here. Let's start our lecture on the Protestant Reformation. Now, the Protestant Reformation, ladies and gentlemen, is super important. This is a monumental event that is really going to change Europe on an intellectual level, on a political level, economic level, and social level. This is really kind of taking what we talked about in the Renaissance, and this is going to be a huge change that we're going to be seeing from the Renaissance in Europe. So let's talk about the Protestant Reformation. This is chapter 3. Okay, so what was the Protestant Reformation? I've been alluding in my previous lectures of the Renaissance to the Protestant Reformation. What was it? What went down? Okay, well, this was a cultural, religious, social, political, intellectual, all the rules, okay, movement that resulted in the schism of the church and the creation of new separate Christian churches and doctrines. So no longer are all kind of Christians and the majority of Christians in Europe going to be Catholic. We are going to see a schism of this. Prior to the Protestant Reformation, if you thought Christian, it was almost synonymous with Catholic. There are some different little groups like Greek Orthodox in Russia, but the Catholic Church was the dominant hegemonic group when it came to religion. No longer. Okay, we're going to start to see different new Christian churches and doctrines. Okay, so this is the Protestant Reformation. All right, really important. This is going to really change Europe on so many different levels. So let's talk about it. Okay, now it starts in Germany. Now Germany doesn't exist yet. Okay, we kind of got baby Germany. It's the HRE, the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, but we need to know why it started in Germany, okay? Well, number one was that Germany was not a unified country, okay? And many of the German princes, leaders, dukes, okay, nobles, they wanted autonomy from, aka they wanted independence from the HRE, all right, the Holy Roman Emperor, and the Pope. So they're going to kind of buy into Martin Luther's religious beliefs, all right, and unite around Martin Luther's religious beliefs in the hope of getting political power. So something that I want you all to understand is that they're going to kind of, change their religious beliefs, but maybe not for, religious reasons, but for political reasons. So keep that in mind as we talk about this. Okay? A lot of towns in Germany, okay, a lot of communities in Germany are going to sympathize with the idea of freedom and independence, wanting their own, autonomy, for, kind of like the princes from the HRE and the Pope. All right? And Germany was also heavily influenced by the Northern Renaissance. Okay, a lot of Northern Renaissance thinkers, intellectuals are going to be bringing those ideas of the Northern Renaissance, religious reform, to their communities, and they're really going to buy into those ideas. And there will be a huge religious push for reform. And when the Catholic Church really shows an unwillingness to reform, well, people are going to say, you know what, we're going to create our own type of church, our own type of Christianity. All right, that's separate from yours. Okay, so the Northern Renaissance is very much going to be a part of this Protestant Reformation, which we talked about in chapter 2. Okay, all right. We know that one of the major skills in AP Euro is cause and effect. So we need to know the causes to the Protestant Reformation. You should be ready for a SAQ, DBQ, LEQ on the Protestant Reformation, and understanding the causes is going to be really, really helpful, right? You could have an SAQ that says identify and explain one cause to the Protestant Reformation, identify and explain one, effect to the Protestant Reformation. So we let's start with the causes, okay? All right. Our first cause is something that we talked about in chapter 1, right? Those crises, Avignon, Boniface, the Great Schism, that really hurt the prestige and power of the church. Remember, and even the Black Death, right? Those are all things that were really hurting the Catholic Church, and that people were losing faith. All right, does the Catholic Church care about me? Well, during the 14th and 15th century, some people are going to start to say no. I don't think they do. All right, and that's going to be super important and a key reason for the Protestant Reformation. Okay, just like I talked about, Avignon. Okay, the Great Schism, the Conciliar movement. That there needs to be a council to kind of monitor the Pope. All right, the Black Death. These are all things that really hurt the prestige of the church. Remember, the popes, the papacy, the Catholic Church was getting really involved in politics, and people were kind of like, what about us? A little Pink reference for y'all, all right? But they were seriously like that. Like, what about us? What? Look at the Black Death is going on. The 100 Years' War is going on. Can we focus on spirituality, our salvation, help us? All right. The Catholic Church was really hurt with all these crises, okay? And a lot of people are losing faith, all right? This is a big one, though, ladies and gentlemen, all right? For a cause of the Protestant Reformation, the corruption, all right? The corruption of the church, all right? One of the key corruptions of the church, all right, was simony, this idea of selling church offices. You might have, the Pope or an archbishop say, hey, you want to be, a really prominent member, in the church, you want to become a priest? Hey, well, give us $1 million and that you can become a priest and you're good to go. All right. And that was very corrupt. All right. That really didn't fly with a lot of people. All right. And they were really upset about this. All right. Selling church offices. Hey, you want to be the Archbishop of England? All right. Give us $5 million and that job is yours. Okay. All right. The church kind of selling, offices, selling positions for money. All right. That's not going to be Martin Luther. Okay. Other humanists are not going to be happy about that. All right. Pluralism, this idea of a church official holding more than one office at a time. You might see, a church official be the Archbishop of England and a priest in France or a priest in Italy and hold all those positions, all right, and get the salary for all those positions. Northern humanists, people like Martin Luther, okay, reformers, are not going to be stoked on that. They're going to be like, hey, if you're the Archbishop of England, shouldn't you be focusing on the people in England and focusing on their salvation and helping them and their faith? That is going to be really upsetting to many of the religious reformers. Okay, another part of this is the moral decline of the church, right? Having extramarital affairs, having officials in the church not follow their own creed. I've kind of alluded to this before, right? Popes having kids, having families. Well, they're not supposed to be having sexual relations with people. They're supposed to be celibate. Okay, they're not following their own creed. All right, their kind of own morality. All right, that's not going to fly. But the big one, ladies and gentlemen, get out a highlighter. We need to know this one. The big one, the really important one is indulgences. This is going to really irritate Martin Luther. All right, it is indulgences. This is a payment to the church to pardon a person for their sins. Therefore, if they're pardoning their sins, it's a shorter stay in purgatory. And they're also doing this for people who have already passed away as well, for someone who has already died as well. So say, for example, a person whose uncle or older brother or father or somebody may have passed away. They could go to the church and be like, hey, I know my father, he may have, got caught up in some stuff or something like that and sinned. Here's some money. I want to make sure that he doesn't stay in purgatory for too long, okay? And Martin Luther is not happy with this because he's saying you shouldn't be able to buy your salvation, okay? And more importantly, he's saying that this kind of favors, people who have money. What about people who don't have money? So they're kind of disenfranchised. They're not able to really pay for their salvation. They're not able to pardon their sins, okay? So Martin Luther is upset on this on two levels. He's saying, number one, you should not be able to pay for your salvation, okay? You should not be able to just pay your way into heaven. Okay. Number two, he's saying that this is not right for all people. The wealthy, people who have money will be able to kind of partake in this. What about the lower classes who may not have the money? That's not necessarily right or equal. Okay. So on multiple levels, the indulgences are really going to irritate Martin Luther. Another thing that's going to really irritate Martin Luther is that these indulgences were being kind of pushed by the Catholic Church in order to pay for St. Peter's Basilica, which we will look at when we go over the art, okay? But this is paying for this new church in the Vatican, okay, in Rome, and we'll look at that. If you can, if you want to look at it right now, Google St. Peter's Basilica, all right? That's what these indulgences are paying for. And Martin Luther is not happy for that. He's seen that there's an economic reason why the church is pushing this, and it's not truly focused on really helping people. Okay, so these various corruptions are key causes to the Reformation. All right, multiple critics of the church, okay, are going to be a reason for the Reformation. All right, Wycliffe, Huss, we talked about them, right? Calling out, papal infallibility, calling out some of the corruptions of the church, calling out, the church not publishing Bibles or producing Bibles in the vernacular for more people to understand. Calling out some of the ideas of the Catholic Church, like transubstantiation. All right, these critics of the church are going to be really influential to Martin Luther and other religious reformers. Okay, many of them. One of the big criticisms that Wycliffe Huss and other reformers are going to kind of put out is they believe in the sole authority of the Bible. All right, they believe that the Pope does not have authority, that it's the Bible. Okay, well, and the Bible is like the Word, right? This is the Christian book, the text. This is the most important Christian book in text. And in the Bible, there is no Pope mentioned. And they're going to be like, hey, Catholic Church, explain that. Where did the Pope come from? It's not in the Bible. We've been reading all these ancient Christian texts during the Northern Renaissance. Where are you at, Pope? Some of these ceremonies, some of these things, some of these sacraments, they're not mentioned. Why? What's up with that? You need to explain that, okay? That's going to be really influential to Martin Luther. And we're going to talk about the idea of the sole authority of the Bible. Okay? And they're going to be critical of traditional ceremonies like the Eucharist, okay? They're going to be critical of some of the traditional doctrines and beliefs because they may not line up with what they're reading in the Bible. The Bible is the authority, okay? And that's going to be very influential to many Protestants. Okay, let's continue. All right, there's Erasmus. All right, we talked about him in the Northern Renaissance, okay? Really important. And the quote that we need to kind of associate with Erasmus when it comes to Martin Luther, okay, when it comes to the Protestant Reformation, is that Erasmus is going to lay the egg that Luther hatched. Okay, Erasmus will lay the egg that Luther hatched. All right, he's really going to promote and kind of put the setting. All right, he's going to kind of put forth some of the ideas and reforms that Martin Luther is going to run away with and start the Protestant Reformation. Okay, really important for us. Erasmus was very influential to Martin Luther. Okay, he criticized the corruption of the church. Now remember about Erasmus though, he was a good Catholic. He does not become Protestant, but he was very upset at some of the things that he saw the Catholic Church partaking in and doing. Okay. He wrote pure editions of the Bible in Greek and Latin. We can kind of see the Northern Renaissance humanism, okay? And, Erasmus read a lot of ancient Christian texts, all right? And he was, looking at ceremonies. He was looking for the truth of religion. Remember that. That was a big part of the Northern Renaissance, finding the truth of religion, okay? And that's kind of setting the scene for Martin Luther to be like, you know what? Here, I'm going to come up with our own type. Because I don't necessarily believe in what the Catholic Church is preaching. Okay? Humanism, ladies and gentlemen, is a key cause to the Protestant Reformation. Okay? Remember, just like Erasmus, okay? Northern humanists were focused on reforming the church and were critical of the church. And this is going to influence Martin Luther to take that step of breaking away from the church. Okay? That's really important, right? And also, we're seeing the idea of questioning the validity of church texts, right? If you remember Lorenzo Valla, okay, his donation of the Constantine document, where he called out this church document saying it's false. It no way was written during Roman times because it has the word fief in it. That was written during medieval times, all right? We're seeing other humanists look at Catholic Church documents, that have these beliefs or, these doctrines, okay? And they're questioning it. They're saying, we're going to look for this. We're going to see if this is actually true. We're going to see if this is actually, honest. And this is right, finding the truth, okay? You're going to see people reading the Bible, all right? No Pope mentioned in here. Where did that come from? Produce the document, show us, right? They are questioning, looking for the truth, okay? All important reasons, factors, causes to the Protestant Reformation, okay? And also, again, like we talked about in the Italian Renaissance, reason, secularism, okay? Using logic, trying to find new ways, new ideas. We're going to start to have new ideas when it comes to religion, okay? New ideas when it comes to religion. Definitely influenced by the Italian Renaissance, definitely influenced by the Northern Renaissance, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Martin Luther and the German Reformation. Let's do that in the next lecture.